A13. I love that song so very much. Yes, I do. I'm so excited. And this week on hashtag Verse TV, it feels, huh? Those who know a thing or two or three about pledge processes know that you're not supposed to say something as something that I did, not I, me, myself, and I. It's a we thing, always. Always. Okay. So, yes, the songs that me, will be presenting this week, or the topics are hashtag Mario Federal. Yeah, Mario Federal, subtitle Danger. And this is coming from APnews.com. Next, of course, every week. Uh, it is us. It's us. It's us. It's hashtag for future husband, heart, heart. Yes. And this one is subtitle Credit, coming from at tonight's conversation. And we will close the week with hashtag underrated hype TVA 13, which is Waiting Room by No Doubt featuring a Prince. Oh my gosh, like this song is truly a classic from their Rocksteady album circa 2001, which is super cool. And you can find this actually at Underrated Hype TV on YouTube, should you wish. All right. And the question, randomly selected question this week, and this is all coming up this week on hashtag Verse TV 261, hashtag A13. Welcome. Hashtag Verse TV 261 A13. And the random question is, how do you unwind? Mm. You know, oh, these questions are random, so I can think about them in advance. I think a word that can work is cerebral, because I'm very in my mind so much. And as far as unwinding, things that help me being in my mind so much, I don't think the right word is introspective. Maybe it is though, but maybe pensive is also a word that works. I've heard, oh, this is way back in the day. Huh. But yes, as somebody who spends a lot of time in his own mind, I can unwind by just having my mind fantasy, think about where things are going in life in general, and just I, I'll say I can relax and unwind even when I might not appear to be relaxing and unwinding, because I am so in my mind. I can be present, fully present with you, and still be cool. Remember that episode of Roseanne? Roseanne was a great show. Don't even get me started. It was. So, on that episode of Roseanne, Dan, that's right, that was his name. Dan, okay. Dan was talking to, I don't remember what, I think his son in law. I don't remember. The only daughter whose name I remember is Darlene. And it wasn't her husband on the show because Darlene's family, the actress's family, but it wasn't her husband. It was the older sister's husband. And they were like 80s cool, like 80s, early 90s. And Dan, I guess, in trying to speak like one of those youngsters, he was like, yeah, it's cool, isn't it? I know that's what you would say. You young people would say, it's cool. So, yes, it's cool how I can do that. Anyway, all right. And the song this week is coming from none other than 1977's We're All in This Thing Together by the OJs. And from their album Traveling at the Speed of Thought. And wow. It's so funny because even thinking about it more now that I'm talking about it, like that's a great title for an album, especially considering it's an album covering topics such as this song, where he says, we're all in this thing together. Think about it, people. We're all in this thing together. He says, how smart can a man be when he's polluting the water? Where in the world can we get more water from? And it's like, wow. And that technically it was, how smart can a man be when he's polluting precious air? Where on the earth can we get more? Oh, actually, that is it. I did it the right way the first time. Sorry, but this song is so deep and it goes into so much. Like one of the other lines, he says, he's of course the OJs is a group with lead singer Eddie Levert, and one of the lines in the song, he says, black and white, red and brown, we've got to get down. Like, we need to learn that it's all just mess. Like, we are all in this thing together. It is us. I tell that to my baby all the time. It's us because it is us. And yes, people all around, black and white, red and brown, we're all in this thing together. We've got to learn that. We've got to get down. Yes. And we've got to work it out. We've got to work it out. And I particularly, this is particularly interesting to me, being that I am now an official Ohio resident. Yes. And it is interesting because, as I said, Eddie Levert is the lead singer of the OJs. And of course, he is the father of Gerald Levert. And it's so, that family was like really with the people, or is with the people here, because a lot, like, speaking about Gerald Levert, I have spoken, because y'all know that I have a lot of conversations with Uber drivers. I do. And I've spoken with a number of Uber drivers, and I remember one in particular. We were driving through Shaker Heights, which is the part of Ohio where the Leverts lived or actively live. It's so interesting because I looked at Gerald Levert's birth and death dates and everything, and all of that was in Ohio. I'm like, that's all right for commitment to Ohio, yes. And I was talking with one of the Uber drivers, and as we were driving through Shaker Heights, I think a song by Gerald Levert came on or something, and I love my music. As you can tell, I love my music. And when it came up, I started talking to him about Gerald Levert, and he was totally cool and spoke with me about Gerald Levert. I can tell though that it kind of got him in his feelings, if you will, because he was like actually friends with Gerald Levert. And he was telling me about how he misses Gerald Levert and the things they used to do together as friends and all of that. And that is, yeah. And I was going to say, as far as Shaker Heights in general, one thing that I learned about Shaker Heights is that it's actually a planned community. And it's one of those planned communities for people who have a little something to a lot of something financially. And they deliberately made an effort to be racially, ethnically diverse. And I love it when cities and towns and subdivisions and whatever deliberately put in that effort. I think that's so cool. And I'm going to shout out also Columbia, Maryland, because Columbia, Maryland is one of those places that was made with that same thing in mind. We've got to get down. All of us, we're all in this thing together. And I think that's so beautiful. Now, I'll also say very quickly, Baltimore was not exactly a planned community. It I shouldn't say it was not exactly a planned community, like it was just a throw together thing. No, it wasn't a subdivision with these goals in mind. But I remember when I first moved to Baltimore, I was like, it is so ethnically, racially diverse. I was like, there's the Baltimore that you see on TV, and I think it's cool how Baltimoreans are like, okay, that's what you see on TV. If that's what you want to believe, whatever. I think that's cool because when you actually get there and actually interact there, it's actually a really cool place. And it is like uh, where planned cities put in deliberate effort to become this way, Baltimore actually just is this way. And it is ethnically, racially, which are two different things, diverse, which is a beautiful thing. Oh my gosh, it's 15 minutes. All right. So, are we ready for topic A? Let's go. Like, share, subscribe, share again, and please do not forget to click like. Thank you. And we're queuing up topic. Hashtag Marriott Federal. Subtitle Danger. APnews.com. Hashtag VersTV A13A. U.S. News. A federal proposal to reclassify marijuana as a less dangerous drug has raised the hopes of some pot backers that more states will embrace cannabis. By David A. Leib. As the U.S. government moves toward reclassifying marijuana as a less dangerous drug, there may be little immediate impact in the dozen states that have not already legalized cannabis for widespread medical or recreational use by adults.
But advocates for marijuana legalization hope a federal regulatory shift could eventually change the minds and votes of some state policymakers who have been reluctant to embrace weed. It is very common for a state legislator to tell me, well, I might be able to support this, but I'm not going to vote for something that's illegal under federal law, said Matthew Schweik, executive director of the Marijuana Policy Project, which advocates for cannabis legalization. Although a proposal to reclassify marijuana would not make it legal, it is a historic and meaningful change at the federal level that I think is going to give many state lawmakers a little less hesitation to support a bill, Schweich added. The U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration has proposed to shift marijuana from a Schedule I drug, which includes heroin and LSD, to a less tightly regulated Schedule III drug, which includes ketamine and some anabolic steroids. Article continues below.
All right. So I feel that I must start off stating this. I have never have I ever smoked a day in my life of anything. I will say that. And do I believe that weed, marijuana, let me stop, should be legal? Yes. And I've even gotten into discussions with people in my family who disagree with me, and that is fine. I do stand on my point. And I also say cigarettes are what took my mom from me, right? And cigarettes are totally legal. You just have to have the money, and the price is going to keep going up, and people are going to keep. That's going to take me on a tangent. But I get it, because now that we've found a way to make weed profitable, that's why it's like, oh, well, we can go ahead and make weed legal. And I think that's not sure, that's a selfish reasoning. I think it's a selfish reasoning that can yield a positive outcome. So it's like, well, it's okay. Well, people can make money off of it now, so fine. Okay, that's what's going to make it legal. Fine. And I connect this public debate to a similar public debate when I was a little bit younger, i.e., late teens and 20s, i.e., under former President Bush, when we had the big debates about legalizing. I forgot the name of it just that fast. Stem cell research, legalizing stem cell research. And people were like, oh no, and at the time, like I said, I was around that age, and I didn't fully understand the problem people were saying, but I did hear that people say stuff like, oh, it's like having stem cells is like, even though the stem cells are already there, but whatever. Having stem cells, doing research on stem cells is like humans trying to play God. And I didn't understand at that point. Therefore I didn't really have much of a perspective on it either way. And also I was a little young. So it was like, oh wow, people are complaining about stem cells. I guess that's a thing. And now that I am somebody who is 40, I'm 40, living with the multiple sclerosis diagnosis. Whew. I acknowledge that there are things that could have been better in life for a number of people with a number of diagnoses. I will say specifically multiple sclerosis diagnosis. And I feel that we could have been farther along with what would make it better for people with MS diagnoses. And I know in Cleveland is an amazing city. Yet another Cleveland woman, she, my understanding, was a radio personality, and MS started like really catching up to her or whatever, and she couldn't continue as a result. And she got stem cells, and stem cells for her made it all better. Stem cells are extremely ridiculously expensive, particularly right now. And I blame the fact that we didn't get that 10 to 15-year head start, that we're not farther along with it. And stem cells, then, and this hits close to home. A friend of mine who I met, we I actually in 2013 went with Kevin to see this natural healer in his Atlanta office. Technically, he's largely out of another country, but he had an Atlanta office until COVID, but that's another story. But if you're somebody who's fighting through multiple sclerosis, I will say go to his website as well, in addition to all of your other research. And his website is noelbatten.com, and that's NOELBATTEN.com. Technically, he's in Australia right now. Anyway, but yeah, Kevin and I went to see him, and we met another woman who was in our similar age range, who was fighting multiple sclerosis. And we all became friends because, also coincidentally, and I don't think this has any medical significance, but coincidentally, we're all three of us were same gender loving people. So, like, we really connected. And I remember years later, in trying to get things better for herself, she paid all of those very ridiculously expensive amount of money because she was still in a wheelchair. Paid that insane amount of money to go get stem cell treatment. Her father actually sold one of his houses, or sold his house or something, to allow her to finance that trip to California, because it's done right in California. Finance that trip to California and that treatment. And she spent all of that time there in California, all of that money, all of those thousands of dollars, just to come back to her home state, Ohio, still in a wheelchair. And they were like, well, just keep pressing, because in a few months you'll be better. I know that you spent this thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars to get this treatment, but you'll be better just in time. It takes time to take. And I still remember I'm debating about how much I'll say because part of me is like, Kevin might watch this. I don't think he does though. But anyway, I remember going to see her, and she was actually living in a nursing home. And her roommate in her nursing home was her father, who sold that house. And it's just so, I don't need to go into all of that. Anyway, I will say that, yeah, so I didn't go into the entire story. I don't intend to, but I will say it's my understanding that marijuana, weed, may have some medical benefits as well. And now we're currently just fighting it on principle, but there may be some medical benefits as well. I will say this for whatever it's worth. My very smart former doctor, because I started hearing that, like, oh, well, it's particularly good for MS situations. And I spoke with my doctor about it, and I was like, well, maybe can I get a medical marijuana card? And she explained that she had actually gone to a specific MS convention. And I remember she spoke about it this way. She said, and it was an MS convention. It wasn't one of those conventions where like they give you a nice bottle of wine or something and then have some people speak about this specific drug. No, it was an actual convention without any kind of drug specific sales, but they did mention marijuana. And what she said is, yeah, marijuana can help people with the MS diagnosis. She did not. And I think this was kind of a political thing for her. And that's okay because I don't need to do that. But she did not want to give me a prescription for medical marijuana because she's like, yeah, you don't need to get a smoking habit, you know? And it's like, I get that. I do. So that's a thing to think about. Oh, and I try to sing. I try to sing. And I like having breath control. Anyway, but yeah, I don't know if it helps or not. I think I hear it does. And at least compared to cigarettes, at least marijuana does not have quite the record of taking mothers from their sons. Like, share, subscribe, share again, and please do not forget to click like. Here we go. Hashtag for future husband, heart, subtitle credit at tonight's conversation, hashtag Verse TV A13B. If your credit score was a person, describe what kind of person it would be. People who need people are the luckiest people in the world. Barbara Streisand. I remember my choir, I think in high school, we actually sang that song. Anyway, but yes, interesting reference to high school. That's not where I was intending to go. But as far as answering the question, I could say that my credit score, if it was a person, it is like a high school graduate with a promising future who is not yet there. A high school graduate who had to grow up through some struggles, but he's growing. And I do gender this high school graduate because I'm referencing myself and I am a man. I think everybody should be comfortable being whoever they are. Anyway, oh my gosh. So, yes, I'm learning and growing. And I must say that the words that are going to come out of my mouth in response to this is not professional financial advice. I see, as I've been watching more and more financial people on YouTube and beyond, they often start their financial videos saying, "This is not financial advice professionally. Do your own research as well. You always should." Period. Dot at the end of the sentence. I will say, as far as my credit score, again, it's come up from a very, very low. And part of that comes from the fact that I was caught in, and it's my understanding there is a time and place to do such a thing. I don't know that time and place, and apparently I got it wrong because I would hear people say what you're supposed to do, what's good management of credit, is to always make sure you carry over a balance every month. And I guess that combined with my youth and some unwise choices led to me getting stuck with it's going from having a brand new credit card, which felt like I got a raise because even though I was just in school at the time, I somehow got this free money because I'm qualified. And I'll say even Kevin, I don't need to discuss Kevin a lot, but I'll say he was at, because we're about the same age, he was at an even better place financially, and he was granted even more. But me, I was granted what I was granted and mismanaged it. And next thing you know, that little bitty credit card, it was okay. I'm not using number. It was a $3,000 credit card, right? It was a $3,000 credit card and this is my story, and I'm sticking to it. It was a $3,000 credit card of which I spent about $2,000. Tack on about $1,000 worth of fees, carrying over a small balance that grew to be not so small. And next thing you know, in my early 20s, after college, a lawyer actually found where I live because lawyers, they have access to all of that. And he straight up left a package on my door saying, "Hey," and I think he even called me the B word. I'm kidding. He didn't call me the B word, but he was like, "Hey, FYI, we own your debt now, and the judge ruled in our favor, and now your little $300 credit card is now a $10,000 public domain debt." What does public domain mean? That means, for example, when I dated one of my exes, his friend would always, whenever he would get serious about somebody, look them up like on the jail site thing and just to see their status. And I, of course, thankfully, hallelujah, have not been to jail. What it did show for me, though, is the fact that I had a $10,000 public domain charge against me that I didn't even realize. I was like, wait a minute, but the credit card has been closed for years and it still earns interest on the interest rate. So you're like, well, the credit card has been closed. I've not been using it. What in the world? Yeah, it's still going to earn interest. It's just you can't use it. So I had to learn those hard lessons. I'm in a better place now. Like I said, a high school graduate with a promising future. I'm in a better place now. It was difficult. I didn't. I don't know why some people will say, well, oh, you need to pay, you need to leave a little bit on every month, and that way you'll be doing a better thing for credit. I don't know because I have heard it a few times from a few different sources. So I guess it's good for some, but I will see people like me, myself and I, and everybody else like me. And I have seen this much more often now. People explain, no, no, no. You're supposed to pay off that credit card every single billing cycle, pay it in full. And I almost said my friend, I don't know him personally, but Ben Stein, who the kids in school always used to say I sounded like because I spoke like Ben Stein, I guess, when I was younger. And because I was so shy, I had a very monotonous voice or very mono. I messed it up twice. Very monotone voice. But Ben Stein, he's like, yeah, credit card companies hate me because I have a bunch of credit cards and I pay them in full every single month. And something I heard from somebody else that was actually helpful for me to hear was don't look at a credit card as extra money. It's not extra money. You can possibly earn some extra reward points, and that's cool, but it's not extra money. Look at it as a different way to access the funds in your credit card in your bank account because you should never spend more on credit than you actually have. And it's my understanding, unfortunately, especially in this world, or a lot of people are caught up in that right now. And that's very difficult. And I think about my horrible experience. And like I said, I got that credit card in college. I paid it off right before I moved here from Baltimore. In other words, I paid it off in my late 30s. So, yeah, I credit card is a horrible thing. You've got to do it the right way. Got to get down the right way with credit cards. I think there can be some benefit to using it the right way, but not the wrong way. Yeah, credit card is just money that you already have. And another fun financial point worth sharing, particularly on this segment for my future husband, was just an ocean away right now. Oh, I wish I was. Y'all don't need to hear their secrets. Okay, but yeah, that's my baby. That's my baby. Anyway, let me stop. But yeah, it's important to speak with your partner about their financial perspective on things and their financial position on things. That is important because it's my understanding also the vast majority of divorces happen because of ultimately at the core is a disagreement on the handling of money. And Ramit Sethi talks to that a lot on his YouTube show. And I don't recall if I don't think he spoke about it a lot in his book. Actually, I'm pretty sure he did a little bit at least. But married couples, there are a lot of married couples that have trouble with finances because they're just from two different places mentally. And that can be complicated. All right. Like, share, subscribe, share again. And do not forget to click like. Thank you.
Hashtag underrated hype TV A13 waiting room. No Doubt and Prince Rocksteady circa 2001 at underrated hype TV. Hashtag Verse TV A13C.
Oh my gosh, that song. If there was a second camera recording me, like y'all would see me dancing. I know I say this all the time for the underrated hype TV, and it's true because it is. Yes. And this album in general, the song particularly takes me back to freshman year in college at Howard because it was released December 2001. And I remember, yes, I was and am a No Doubt fan. Yes, I am. And I have most, if not all, of their CDs. I know. I'm 40, you guys. I'm sorry. I'm 40. I'm from that generation. Yes, but the CDs as well. And I remember freshman year, I had another friend who was a fellow No Doubt fan. And it's like, yes, no doubt. Yes. And this album, Rocksteady, is again from 2001. And that song, yes. And it's so amazing how sounds develop over time because that is like spot on for where the path of music. I'll say that. Now, I will say this was interesting. Yeah. I saw an interview clip on Instagram of Gwen Stefani. I don't know when she recorded the interview talking about this song, but she was talking about the fact that working with Prince, and she was very wonderful in that she didn't say something negative or anything like that. She did say that, yeah, that was one of her most challenging studio sessions ever because Prince wanted there to be so many layers of her voice and so much of this and that. And if you listen closely, you will hear Prince himself on the track. And It's cool. And Gwen Stefani said that was a lot of work, but you hear they nailed it. They nailed it. Oh my gosh, that song was so amazing. And Gwen Stefani was explaining how Prince would get excited while they were recording because Prince would say, "Oh, wow, this kind of sound that we're developing right now with this track is similar to the kind of sound that I had developed with this other female group that he was working with, or this female, because no doubt is mixed genders. Anyway, but he was all excited about that. He's like, yeah, right now we sound like that group. And that was really cool. And yeah, I feel like this song, and y'all can listen to the full thing on Underrated Hype TV or just pull it up on Google Music. It's fine. And yes, listen to the full song because it was really like a forerunner for sonically where music has gone. It's a great song. I'm a No Doubt fan. And I'll say, as far as the waiting room, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, I love it because even in the song, Gwen Stefani sings, and whomever was the writers of the song, the lyric is, "Why does this feel like wasted time?" And oh my gosh, I completely relate to it because sometimes it can be hard waiting in the waiting room for love. And I also think about myself when I was in my mid to late 20s, right after I did that horrible thing that I say was a horrible thing because I messed up I messed up the relationship for a few, potentially. I messed it up. And it was potential at the time, but it actually happened that way. And I wasn't doing it to deliberately mess it up or anything. It's just after I did what I did, immediately I felt something inside of me was like, Aaron, you just did a wrong thing and you're going to be punished for it. And something in my mind told me about waiting until that the punishment might be waiting until I'm 30 or 40 to find love in the waiting room. And I was like, Aaron, put that out of your mind. No way, no way. Sure enough, though, I'm so grateful and blessed and happy. Thank you, Lord God Almighty. I have love. Yes. Yes, I'm 40. Yes. So some could say that it did work out that way. Ultimately, I burned myself out with dating. I dislike dating entirely. And I'm petting my cat. I dislike dating. And him finding me, when he found me, was actually very beneficial because I had just given up. No, that's not true. I I truly dislike dating, especially dating with the MS diagnosis. And I get it, y'all. HIV people, I understand difficulty in dating somebody and having to discuss with them your diagnosis. I didn't get it before. I get it now. I do. Anyway, to the song. Why does this feel like wasted time? What a price. What a price this traveling love. Traveling love. You and me trapped between these lines. But, ooh, you're so mine. If we both want the love and I wait long enough, then the ground that we're on might be common. Ah, if we both want the love and I wait long enough, then the ground that we're on might be common. Do 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 do. Yes, because it can feel like that when in the waiting room. I'm in the waiting room. But if we both want the love, and yes, my love and I want the love. Thank you, love. I keep almost saying your name. I'm not going to say your name yet. Anyway, but yeah, if we both want the love and we wait long enough, then the ground that we're on might be common. If we, being that we both want love, if we just wait long enough, be patient long enough, then the ground that we're on might be common. We might finally, meet and share common ground and be together forever and ever to part. Okay, Rick Astley, yes. Oh my gosh, I have a million tangents. But I will simply say hashtag Verse TV family. I love songs that have happy closings. And because that's how it closed, then the ground that we're on might be common. Ooh, you're so mine. Yes. Yes, baby. And yes, I'm yours. I forgot who sings that song in order to go on another tangent, but I love it. Anyway, talk to y'all later. Hashtag Verse TV family. Peace. Hashtag VerseTV.com. That's the hashtag Verse TV logo. Hashtag VerseTV.com. www.versetv.com. Talk to you later. Peace. Stay blessed. We're all in this thing together, going way back to the top of the show. And y'all know I love my top. I know that's a horrible way to end this, but the good way to end this is yes, we're all in this thing together. Yes, we are. We've got to work it out. We've got to work it out.